This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Why my people suffer so bad? Oh, is it that should really be sad? Is it a misplaced melancholy? Why? Well, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My people may talk. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My God. Rise up, fallen sufferers. Rise and take your stance again. He who fights and run away will live to fight another day. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? You people may talk. It's politics time again now. Are you gonna vote now?
Another to the Wednesday, June 4th edition of Talking Heads. Your boy Naughty along with Mary Jane. In your company right up until 6 p.m. We do have a special guest today, Mr. Matt Aubrey, Executive Director of ORG. Will be joining the conversation with him in short order. But like I said, we got a Hump Day Wednesday open line edition of Talking Heads. MJ, good to see you. And I know you got to let them know we're brought to you by.
Of course, good to see you too. And of course, Talking Heads is brought to you by the Bahamas Island Promotion Board, Burger King, the Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival, City of Hope, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, KFC, Muffler World, Nassau Cruise Port, Naughty Johnny's, Percy's Island Games, Pinder Tile, Printmasters, Sandcastle Bahamas, Tropical Gyros, and the Water and Sewage Corporation.
And big up to all the sponsors. Yeah, I wanted to put a page out of your, midday radio career and let you do the sponsor read. There you go.
Yeah.
But good to see you.
Quite the list. Okay.
And
good to see you, too.
It's a Wednesday, closer to the weekend, holiday weekend, because Friday's a holiday, Monday's a holiday. That's the greatest kind of holiday weekend ever, boy.
Yes.
Them front to back ones. That's the best one.
A 4-day holiday weekend. Because the Monday one is the real, of course, you have different reasons for the holiday. One is about Labor Day, the other is with Monday.
Are we going to the march, by the way?
I'm still on the fence about it.
Why don't we stay on the fence and watch it go by all day?
Do it like that.
Why don't we do it like that?
Maybe that's the safest thing to do. We want to get too political.
But they obviously are our special guests, and we can go over it with the open lines a little bit into 5 o'clock, once we deal with our special guests. But friends of the show, no stranger to the show. My brother in Freedom of Information Act, we want it now, we need it now. Executive Director of ORG, Mr. Matt Aubrey. How are you, Matt? Good to see you again. Welcome, as always.
Good. Always glad to be here. And thank you so much for keeping this conversation going and continuing to have us and all the support you've given us over the many, many years on our discussions on this.
Well, Matt, it's been near and dear to me and MJ from prior radio incarnations and now here. And here we are. We're still beating up our gums, talking about we need it. It's obvious, I think, the voting populace and the citizenry throughout, even who are not politically affiliated, want a Freedom of Information Act. They think it's far too long that we've had to wait for it. Numerous administrations have promised it, never enacted it, and obviously there is a need for it. I don't care what the politicals say about it. It's obvious. Joe Public wants it, and we need it. We cannot go. If I look back, like I told you before, if I look back over my life, I can truly say I have come to one conclusion. I cannot believe anything politicians in this country say. So I need to be able to touch, feel, smell, look, research. And that's how a lot of Bahamians feel.
But that's fundamentally the purpose of it, right? So freedom of information, for anyone who may not be familiar with what that is, creates a pathway for citizens to request and get access to information about how government makes their decisions or how they spend your money. There's 120 countries in the world that have active Freedom of Information Acts. There's also a host of those, and some even in the Caribbean region, that have passed these acts but not brought it to full force. And that's where we are in the Bahamas. There was actually a first passage of an act in 2012 That government put forward and passed a Freedom of Information Act, but never enacted it. The next government came in and said they wanted to do their own version. There were some consultations. We, and I think you and a number of us were together in that work, in that effort. And I think we had a group of about 22 groups that represented about 50,000 people total that were calling for and pushing for that. And we did consultation and had some input on the bill. Bill was passed. That was in 2017. Governments changed. The next administration did a few things, but not very much to advance it. What was enacted was the ability to get rid of the old bill, the 2012 bill.
Right.
A small reference to to whistleblowers, that they had some protections, but more importantly was the passage and unit and commissioner. And that commissioner spent the last number of years putting together an implementation plan that would show how this bill could be brought forward. It required obviously training folks in government, because the way that the mechanism of freedom of information in our law is supposed to work is that you would go directly to the part of government that holds the information, make a direct request to somebody that's designated as an information officer. That request would come back to you within 30 days, and they would either be able to give you the information or potentially tell you that you're not able to get that information based on a few exemptions that do exist in the law. Some of those make sense, national security or something that would threaten somebody's personal information, or something that would be probably jeopardize a case that was in process. But those are pretty well clearly declared. And then if that information you felt still was due you could then request further up the line in that part of government. And if that, again, was denied, you could go to that information commissioner, who would look at it and evaluate the determination of whether the interest is in the public's benefit to share that information, or if, in fact, the concerns or the exemptions were valid. And matter of fact, you could even go further to the Supreme Court if you wanted. So this law really clarifies a process of resolution and specifies that citizens have the general right to get information from government as they need in the instance of their request. So where are we with it now? That implementation plan plus drafting of legislation that would tell you the regulations of how this would actually work have been done and given to government, the 8 regulations. They need to be passed. And there needs to be resources to make sure that the parts of government that need to respond are trained, that the technology that needs to be in place is put in place, and that there's a significant amount of public education so that all the Bahamian communities would understand what this law is, what it isn't, because it's not a silver bullet. It isn't going to fix everything.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that all information everywhere is available. Things like discussions in cabinet that are bound by confidentiality to ensure that those discussions happen in a robust and open way, or not open way, a robust and thorough way. That information isn't brought forward, but you would be able to get information around the decisions that they were made, the use of information they made
material.
to make the decisions,
Sure.
or the research that was utilized. So all of that to say that where we stand now is that there needs to be resources to put forward this piece of legislation and bring it to full enaction. When we looked at the budget that was put forward, the draft budget, we didn't see a sufficient resource put forward. Last amount of money from the last 2 budgets was $140,000, and that money stayed the same. And on further projections in the next couple of years, it stayed the same as well. But we also noticed that going into the budget further, looking at things like the Ombudsman Act that was just
Right.
passed in 2023, which allows Bahamians to be able to, if they're having a concern going on with government, get some support and have a person that could help you to resolve that through hopefully mediation or adjudication. But you also then saw the Independent Investigation Commission, which was just passed earlier this year, and really, again, seen as that signature point to put forward and address issues of corruption independently and objectively. Neither of these had very much money put in the budget. We've kind of raised that point, and we want folks to be able to be aware as they look through the budget to see what do they want allocated. This budget is reflective of the way that the citizens' money is going to be used on their behalf. And if so, we've been encouraging folks to be able to reach directly out to their member of parliament and let them know we want to see this supported. We want to make sure that it's prioritized in the coming year so that the benefits of these things can translate into daily life here in the Bahamas, so that you'll have trust and you'll have confidence and you'll see that things are fair and that decisions are being made that are reflecting your interests. All of those things come when these pieces of legislation that are really tools of transparency, they build the trust that encourages folks to be involved. And when folks are involved, we at Org say, get informed, get involved. Then you start to see that benefit of all parts of government, all parts of our community working together, and that brings us forward to more sustainable and positive development across all of our lives.
And I think because a lot of times when you see pushback against it, which, I mean, I haven't seen much recently. I thought we really had the flow and the movement to get this thing done finally. Apparently not. But it's not just all about the government to see what they're doing wrong. We just want this information to use it politically. A lot of times you may get information if you're a small business person or maybe you want to go into a business. You may need information from a particular department. You could get access to that information. You know, there are different uses of this information. Not all of it is necessarily nefarious or should be viewed that way. I'm just kind of disappointed that we're still here where we're underfunded, particularly in a year when we have a surplus projected.
Well, and often we get characterized as a watchdog group, and Org's really not organized that way. We're registered not-for-profit. We're based on evidence and research and talking to folks in the community. And what we're hearing is that people want what a freedom of information brings. And as you talk about it, it's not I'm going to go catch my least favorite politician
MP or whatever.
It's much more about believing that the system will work on your behalf, that
Sure.
everybody should have equal access, that everyone on a daily basis should get the same level of treatment. And so these pieces have been in law, and they're put in law with a particular intent. That intent is to benefit folks on their quality of life. If it's not funded, if it's not brought forward, we're not going to achieve that benefit or receive it. And that's what I think communities and folks across the archipelago are telling us. They want these types of resources because they want that type of benefit.
Absolutely. And there's also, I think we had a discussion about how when we do have this moving in full force, you may get some proactive information release, and that may be beneficial to certain people.
Well, and that's a really important part. So recognizing that freedom of information, and this is one of the notes that come out when people think about freedom of information, it's dependent upon the person, bit of information. So you got to know what you want to go there.
Absolutely.
And it's not like, we'll go to ChatGPT or Google and decide, just put in something and all of a sudden you have to go and specifically say, I want this thing to understand
But that's what
how it's effective.
That's what I want to see it. Everybody has their own reasons, and mine twofold. One, for example, like MJ touched on, if I want to do business or I want to check on things, that I need information for, it's accessible. I'm there. I know where to go. This is what I need to have in order to open up this business. This is the projections I can make based off this information on the need and the criteria and in the market. It makes it one stop for me as a business person. Then, for the good old, investigative reporter, sleuth dog, watchdog, then I want to know what's the company, for example, that's got the contract for the Go Slow Band. It's been taking 8 months, and the seawall still isn't repaired, and it looks worse condition now than it did in the first place when it was broken and needed repairs.
Right. Well, and I think that also is...
And then if one or two, rogue politicians come by that need to be, what's going on here. But for the most part, at the end of the day, where's our money going?
But it's really interesting because Jamaica has a Freedom of Information Act that's ongoing, and they have an actual site, a site that I think was funded by the EU or somebody, and it's run at I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's JAMP, and if you go and check it out online, check out JAMP. And they give all kinds of information that are driven
Proactive,
driven from the Freedom of Information Act. They gather information and they present it out to the public. And it's not, again, this politically driven initiative. It's just so that's the other challenge is we think about the complexity of this budget process. And let's just, let's make note that when governments are doing this, it's not arbitrary. They're not just sitting down ticking off boxes and it's not one person. It's a whole team of smart folks that are putting together this complex decision and about how the next year is going to go and what we're going to do. And so when we do that, there's all kinds of investments. And you see, in the Prime Minister's communications that they're targeting things that are going to make a difference to folks that are still vulnerable, and they're putting resources to take care of us in the environment and in the community.
A lot of capital expenditure
all of those things.
too. Yeah.
When those things go forward, there's a portion of folks who are distrustful. These days, there's a significant amount of lack of public trust in government, not just here in the Bahamas, not just in the region, in the world. But it affects folks. They're skeptical. They don't necessarily see how their direct interests are being met. And so when government invests and put these programs forward, our taxpayer money, put them forward to make sure that they achieve and benefit our communities, and people don't believe or don't trust or are not part of that process, it doesn't really manifest what it's supposed to. So we need to make sure that folks are aligned. And in building back trust, information is absolutely important. Transparency is crucial. We just said before that, this is like if you're in a relationship with somebody in your family or your wife or your partner, and you all have and you just say, and they say, well, where are you going tonight? Don't worry about it. I'll be fine.
You should
just trust me.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work.
No.
Fireworks. That's the only kind of work. Fireworks.
So you've got to be intentional in terms of giving this information forward, providing the background info, letting
that's
folks
how it
be able
is.
to get it for themselves.
In today's world, people are so used to, at the tip of their fingers, they have information easily accessible and
Right.
readily available. We need it in that vein too.
Right, so that in that way, it's also crucial to think that this process, and it's not just freedom of information, right? It's freedom of information. It's the Procurement Act. It's the Public Disclosures Act. It's the various councils that are put in place, whether it be the Police Inspectorate Council or the Fiscal Council for Financial Responsibility. All of these things are built into law, and they reflect the global best practices. Bahamas laws look very good. But if these things aren't put forward, then they don't achieve what's necessary. For the Procurement Act, when the Procurement Act was put forward, one of our recommendations, the most recent one, was to keep a specific commission in place. They had a public procurement commission, so that if you, just like you said, Naughty, if you put a bid in, you went to somebody else on the government contracting, well, then I would have a way that I could go ahead and address that and resolve it and make sure determine that it was done all above board. Well, that was folded into the tax commission with the rationale that it was going to, save money and that the tax appeal commission could do this function. But if you go to the Procurement Act, procurement portal, which has a lot of information, there's no real way that you can, it's no issue or bring it forward. Well, we need to make sure that that's right there so that when folks have concern, they can. Even just knowing that it's there starts to reassure and build the kind of trust and participation that we need, because in order to achieve and succeed in this really complex scenario we have, it's going to take all of us. So our advocacy is really based on that we need to come together as much as possible, and that these pieces of transparency help to bridge the divide and forge the social contract that happens between government and the citizen. And that's our main point.
All right, you're listening to Talking Heads right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM with Naughty, yours truly, Mary Jane. We have a very special guest with us in studio today, the Executive Director of ORG, Mr. Matt Aubrey. And I'm going to ask you, because our Prime Minister has kind of described this whole thing as esoteric, so I have an esoteric question for you on the other side of this break. You guys keep it locked in. Talking Heads right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
And today's music inspired by St. Anne's MP, Mr. Adrian White, who had a brilliant display in Parliament today.
He had shot.
Man, the Eastern Road was well dedicated. I tell you all, we like to get half cut on the weekend and listen to Buju, I tell you all that right now. Boom, bye. Don't get me started. And don't let us be in the boat, for God's sake. That's the whole of the Buju albums.
I upon them constitution, long time indeed a joke. Fed up of promises and hopeless hope. Ballot box must be empty, vote house closed. No one arm, no one choose the color of them clothes now. But some just plain greedy. No matter how we teach, they'll forget easier. Look, it's politics time again.
Crunch your hunger cravings and family with KFC bucket meals starting at just $20. Get freshly prepared golden fried chicken, buttery biscuits, and add your favorite large sides for flavor that will make your mouth happy and your feet dance. Order online or WhatsApp hi to 557-3663 to grab your KFC bucket today. Big flavor, bigger value, and always KFC. Finger licking good.
Been off the WSC grid for over a year? Now's the time to come back and save big. For a limited time only, the Water and Sewage Corporation is offering up to 50% off reconnection fees for customers disconnected for more than 1 year. Don't miss this chance to reconnect and enjoy reliable, quality water service at a discounted rate. Call 302-5599 to learn more. Water and Sewage Corporation, dedicated to dependable, affordable water solutions.
John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. You're excited. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances. So come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Learn more at cancercenter.com.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
It's time for the buzz. What are you buzzing on? Brought to you by John's Shoes.
Why my people suffer so bad?
As we get back into the Wednesday, June 4th edition of Talking Heads, don't forget text lines are open, powered by BTC 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Phone lines open in New Providence, 323-6232. 325-4259, 325-4316. Toll free in any one of the family islands, 242-300-5720, 242-300. Live, take us wherever you want to go. GuardianTalkRadio.com. That's GuardianTalkRadio.com. Wednesday edition of Talking Heads, and your boy Naughty along with Mary Jane and your company right up until 6 p.m. Continuing with our special guest, Executive Director of ORG, Mr. Matt Aubrey, and lots to talk about. And, of course, you know, you had the big question.
Well, no, I just, because this got to get esoteric now.
Esoteric, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm listening to Matt. You know, you're always so good at educating us. We really
No, the
appreciate
gravitas wasn't good enough yesterday. We're on to esoteric today. We are rolling.
No, really appreciate the time you take to help us understand these issues. But when I hear no less than the leader of the country describe it that way, then I have to wonder, as far as the politicians are concerned, because the way you describe it, the ultimate package, the gift that comes from this is trust in the government by the people. But if we're living in times that are so polarized that you have, you know, a party in power and they may say to themselves, oh, half of them don't trust us, no way, no matter what we say. And the other half that do support us, they're going to listen to us no matter what we say. So what is the benefit for me to go and do this now where, because a lot of times they do think it's about political mischief. What is the benefit?
So in a time which is so overwhelming. I mean, I get up and look at my phone and read through the newspaper, and every day you got to kind of take a step back and say, all right, what's the world we're dealing with?
Brace yourself.
It can become overwhelming to try and figure out information. So it almost makes sense that folks would rally behind people without thinking about like necessarily the logic of it, but as much the emotion about it. So this is called affective polarization, and they're noting this across the world as this is how groups are going, and it's very hard to cross that divide. If you just believe philosophically that my side is good and your side is not good, it's hard to then cross that line. So what Org has been trying to do is not only understand this issue of public trust, because we did a study and we did some focus groups and we really talked to is not just in government. It's in big institutions all over. It's in not-for-profits like us. It's in media like y'all. It's in corporations and banks and, you know, even churches to some degree. Like there is this mistrust for a lot of folks who are feeling like they're in crisis, either economically or socially, that their interests are not being represented by these big things that you know that are doing well and existing. And so you get that, right? So part of what we're trying to do is create ways for folks to educate and be familiar with what the systems that are governing their lives are, and build their skills and the opportunity for them to be involved in a way where they can take a bit more control about the things that they care about. So we're doing our education on freedom of information and helping folks to go on our website. We actually have a tool. If you want to, you can go ahead and use that tool, and it'll help you compose a very respectful and professional letter to your member of parliament that you can send directly to say, I want you to support things like freedom of information, or I really want to make sure that the education programs that my child is going in continue, or I want to make sure that our environments are being taken care of, and the more put arbitrarily, it's like you can do the tool, it's yours, but it helps you be able to make that direct connection. So that's part of those process. But the other is a project called Be Clear Bahamas, which helps us, we're going in the community and helping folks understand how to look at things like that big budget book with all the charts and things and understand what are those terms, what should you be looking at so that you can understand. So when one politician says this and the other politician says that, and these seem to oppose, you can go to where information is already available and check it out. If you're interested in understanding that, then we have that resource not only available for you online, but you can also come to some of our trainings. And the hope is, remember I said we're not watchdog group. Like that's not what we do. But we also realize that the logic is any one group can be dismissed or can maybe not exist or go away or not be able to be as impactful. But when more folks in the community are engaged and informed, well, that's the most important kind of oversight and opportunity that we could have. Because directly from those folks that are most affected by the funding allocations, by the programs that are put forward, by the policies that are decided. So we want to reestablish that engagement from citizens to government, from private sector to government, from the civil society to government, because that way government can use that information, that input, in terms of making its plans, in terms of making its promises and its decisions, knowing that, hey, this is actually what the issues are on the ground. One of the things I did see in the budget that was really great was focus on how we figure out this flooding issue in Pinewood. Like that
again, yes, we do need to figure it out.
Those folks, they just live with an understanding that they're going to lose a certain amount of their stuff every year because you can't deal with it.
We had a caller yesterday, and she talked about how she'd lost furniture, I think a refrigerator, and that wasn't the first time it happened. Right. It's happened multiple times.
So that's great. Then that means hopefully that project is reflective of the input and the concerns, and those folks in Pinewood say, yeah, I believe this is the thing that's going to make our lives better, or we're going to find a solution to this long-standing issue. That's what we want to see. That's the kind of good governance that really is tangible. It's not esoteric. It's not an ideal. It's what happens on the ground and changes the quality of life for folks in our communities, particularly those that typically get left out of those conversations.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It changes the quality of life, and I think that's what we have to kind of keep reiterating so people understand that that's one of the net benefits of having trust and having the free flow of information, transparency, which we would think would lead to accountability in some instances. You mentioned it briefly, but with the Procurement Act, we've been having this situation for a long time as well, where we're not getting timely information on these contracts, or maybe we feel a particular way about the number of no-bid contracts that have been given out. You talked about Jamaica earlier. I read recently that they publish all contracts over $50,000. They publish it in real time.
Well, and so that's an interesting point. So we talk about the Procurement Act, and let's go back 4 years. There was no procurement information out there. There is now a pretty comprehensive portal. You go to that, and that information is now starting to come out more and more regularly. So we're starting to see movement in a positive direction. But if folks are just generally mistrustful, as soon as that comes out, what are they looking for? They're looking for what's not there. The reality is there's more access than ever to finding out government contracts that you could bid on. We've got to get over that hump. We've got to be able to make sure that government understands this is the information that folks want to see because it builds their participation in that system. And we got to reassure folks to say, yeah, well, this does reflect an opportunity for you. We want to encourage you to take advantage of that.
The trust comes in there. I feel like that's why the trust comes in.
Right.
Speaking of the whistleblower portion of it, too, I think that we need some strong, legislation for that as well, too, because in most parts of the world, they encourage you to blow the whistle. In this part of the world, Mr. Mitchell wants to discourage you. Brave wants to give you a whistle to blow, right? And why don't Fred want you to blow it? I mean, what's going on?
So
I will say, though, if you go back to that Independent Commission of Investigations that was passed earlier, there was also a bill called the Protected Disclosures Act that was also passed, which was supposed to put in place, you bring forward information, your safety, your anonymity is going to be protected. We want to get to a point, to your point, where we incentivize folks to be able to bring in information forward. And if they don't trust those civil servants, if they don't trust that that's actually the way the culture is supposed to be, or they don't see these indications where everybody's held accountable, then you could think that would be somebody who'd be very apprehensive to bring information forward, because you might fear, well, it's only 400,000 of us. Somebody's going to know where this information comes from.
Right.
That is true. Thinking about it in general terms as well, shouldn't something like more responsible governance, more transparency save us money in the long run? Is that one of the things we can look forward to?
So anything that supports transparency and accountability usually means more effectiveness and more efficiency. Fundamentally, because when governments are making these decisions, they're making decisions in a way that they know this has got to hit the light of day. But more importantly, you also see that these things, they decrease the opportunities and the inclination towards corruption. I don't know that corruption will ever go away, but we want to do everything we can. When we did our symposium a couple of years ago, the first anti-corruption symposium, we found that there were so many things that are actually built into the Bahamas that are in place, that if we leverage them all together, our corruption index rating would shoot up, would move forward. But they all kind of exist in silos. We're doing a lot in the private sector. We're doing a lot actually in government in different ways. We're doing stuff in the civil society, groups like ours. Media is talking about these things. I mean, there's lots of things that are in place that are pushing this forward, but we're also not crossing the streams like the Ghostbusters, right? And so we need to do that. So but that's part of it is because we don't understand what they are or see how they're supposed to bring that benefit. And sometimes we get focused on the immediate. So I do recognize the PM's comments around wanting to make sure that those that are most need are taken care of.
Sure.
But at the same time, if we don't address these long-term things, we're going to keep finding ourselves, and our folks are always going to be at the bottom of the bottom of the level.
Yeah, and that's something that's always going to exist as well. You're going to always have to be helping people, but some of these things that we've been working on, you say since 2012, at some point we need to cross the finish line, get it done, and it's especially since so many Bahamians have asked for more transparency, more accountability. I hear the Prime Minister, but I just didn't particularly buy that excuse.
Well, but the truth is, and that's, again, the mutual responsibility. So a lot of why we exist in org is to help folks build back those civic muscles and get comfortable doing that. How many calls, texts y'all get? How many of those actually translate to a letter to your direct member of parliament that says, I care about this thing, I live in your constituency, please make this thing happen? We don't do a lot of that. We do a lot of WhatsApp chats. We do a lot of...
Oh my gosh. We did half as many letters for every WhatsApp chat. Did up like 1 million, almost 1 billion, all the time. And it's such a great tool. I checked it out online. I was like...
Thank you. You're one of the first. I appreciate it.
This is pretty good. And it's so straightforward and easy.
We got to call us get it up. But it's like in the States. They do have something that I think we should have in place. It's a recall system. Mm-hmm. And you have a congressman that you elect. The minute you get in, if you don't do what you need to do, you got a whole brigade of grannies that got you on that nomination, that got you on that ticket.
Go the other way.
They'll get you off that ticket with the same amount of signatures or more. And that's what we need. We need some sort of way to just let the administrations of the day know. We are Joe Public. We are here. You all work for us. We're active, and we are, we're watching things. We're vigilant.
I feel like there's almost like that like Maslow's hierarchy. Like you got to do certain things. So if we started with a recall system in our current world, what do you think is going to happen?
Yep.
It's going to be a political party that doesn't get in. You spending all their energy to try and so we got to make sure that civic voice, those grannies that are out there that are going to call for you, we need to build those signatures.
They'll write us right there. They'll write letters for you all day.
Right.
2 and 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's get to the phone lines. Talking heads.
Yeah, what's popping on the MJ and Matt?
How you doing, sir?
Hi. What's going on, 52?
For a lot, Matt. It's good to have a chat. Enough respect. I just call it enough respect. But, I wanted to get into just a quick mention here of something you said, because really, let's look at the word esoteric, right? So isn't they said science supposed to be esoteric, but you have a duty of care? What about a duty of care, Naughty, if something is esoteric?
I agree.
You're supposed to just sit back. So what I'm looking at is, if that's the way we look at life, then basically we are all enslaved. Which you mean intended for just a small people, amount of people with knowledge to understand that? You think people just, naughty people people have a brains, they can understand things if you speak to them.
52, I get it.
That's contemptuous for me. I don't care who said it, but it's contemptuous in the fact that you're degrading people. Some people mightn't be interested in it, but for me, during the pandemic, they were saying 52 didn't understand the science and he didn't know what he's doing.
And every day you was on here bringing point after point and presenting yourself well. But like I said, 52, I'm still getting over, the offense that I've suffered by being told I don't have a real job after being a stand-up comedian for 27 years.
Listen, you make me laugh so much. I can send Cuban really abolish it.
Take it easy, man. Take it easy.
You know something, Naughty? I know better than that. What I'm saying is we talking about in general.
Right.
When I listen to MJ speak, when I listen to Matt, Garvin Bow, Lang, you have to understand logic here. It's not about who's smart or who's this and that. It's having common sense and standing up for something that's right. So, I just want to call to encourage Matt. Matt, I know you wouldn't be dismayed or delayed
Thank
when
you,
people...
sir.
It's sickening for me. I just don't buy into that, man. What it is, you have a duty of care to explain things to the masses. Otherwise, we're living in a dictatorship. This is what I'm trying to tell people. Science and technology interface one another. They will use them to enslave us, but this is why they make things more complicated, and then they feel like you're behind. But once you're literate, you're able to conquer these things. Let's say you have a cell phone. You need to learn how to use it and do certain things as you pass. For my age, I think I could do everything on it. So it's not something like I can't learn. And like some people only have the phone, and when I ask them to do certain things with it, and they around my age and they don't know how to do it. But some people my age, they know how to do everything. So I don't believe that no such thing as can't understand. We must stop that. That's during the pandemic. That's what people relied on to get people to inject themselves, right? And go on a global experiment in ignorance, and then call people with sense who speak in sense, and they didn't know the truth when they hear it. So I'm afraid. We are living in a prison, pathetic planet. Give thanks.
Yes, 52. Good stuff 52. As always.
I will say, though, of that group of smart folks that you listed, I'll take MJ every day.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway.
Not before me. You
make me blush. Okay.
Let's get to the phone lines. Talking heads.
Yeah, how doing? To the chattering class.
The chattering class.
Part of the chattering
AKA
class.
the talking heads. We got it.
Go ahead.
We got it.
Real class. They just gone off there 52. But I just wanted to share. They said that those with Fred, they say those doo-doo morons that they put in Exoma, and they were supposed to instantaneously remove them after they draw back on that. And without this freedom of information, there's some free information because they had one funeral who was a loyal follower of the deputy prime minister in Black Point on the weekend. He was in there, but they ain't moved none of them morons yet. I think that company.
I've heard some valued reports from Mr. Peter Moore and some others as well, that those moorings aren't lit in the night too. So now they're in the charted course. They're not lit, and now that provides a hazard.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
And Fred said, they put them there so the people don't deposit they do in Elizabeth Harbor, but they all over the place, and they ain't moved none of them. But the people have got some money, and where's the money? And and one more point, we still ain't know what happened within in 4 months from last year. The $2.5 million for that King Air, with me know where it's at, me know where the money gone, and we, putting more money on the table. So your classmates, y'all stay on this.
You too. All right, brother, be safe.
Class.
Note to self, jokers while it's closed. Do not jump on that setup right there. No, just do not back away from it. Step away from it. Mouth stay closed.
When we hear from Mr. Leon Lundy, who's also State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, right? Maybe when we hear from him, since the question has been raised, he can tell us what happened to our airplane that we did pay that money for, that we haven't heard about for quite some time, except for the rumors that are going around. So if Mr. Lundy's listening, gives his presentation during the budget debate, would be awesome.
Very, very much so, especially for Mr. Lundy. You got to clarify a lot of things, but that in particular.
Well, and I think it's also really crucial that we're talking about these issues now. We want to make sure that folks understand there's a lot of information that's contained in that budget, right? That you're gonna hear people talk about it, and every side is going to talk about a particular focus, and some of that may be 100% accurate, and others might be a little smudged in a certain area. And how's a person at home supposed to know? And so being able to realize that this information is being presented proactively on the budget. We have information. You can go to Org's website and check out and actually find not only the budget communications and the response from the opposition leader, but also the actual budget book, and go through there. We want to familiarize yourself with what are those concepts. What do they mean when they're talking about recurrent expenditure? What are they talking about related to debt? What are the columns that you should be looking at? Why is it broken up into so many different ways? All of that information provides you with the context so you can make your mind up of, I believe in this thing, I support this, or in fact, maybe that's not exactly what I really believe in, and so I'm going to let somebody know. So you yourself making up your own mind critically is a crucial, powerful tool, and we want folks to be able to access that and use that tool to the benefit of our country.
So let me ask you this, Matt, because I was disappointed. I think I said it after the first day from the PM's initial communication, because I could kind of hear we weren't getting where we wanted to be with FOIA, because I think that when it actually happens, it'll be something that they will tout, because it's a good thing. Looks like we're not going to get the funding this year again. Where do we go from here?
Well, we're as I think I said last time, I classify myself as a worried optimist. So
good. Teach me how to do that then.
We don't stop pushing on this.
Show me.
So this debate, recognize it is a draft budget, and the members of Parliament are debating this. It needs to then be passed by the House and then brought forward to the Senate, who will subsequently also debate it. So this is a work in progress. And so this is critically still a time where folks, whether it be freedom of information or something else that you care about, a particular issue that affects you, your family, or your community, let the folks know. Like, make sure that this is a time when you are giving information. If you use our tool, what happens is you'll put together the tool, you'll put your name in, you'll put your constituency. It gives you some fields you can fill out, but it also gives you a chunk of area where you can put in what you care about. And that will send you an email that you'll have actually the direct email to your member of Parliament or their constituency office. Utilize that. Send that email out. Send an email that is about the issues you care about. If you support the budget items, send that email. The process of having a two-way dialogue is only going to benefit all of us. And that's not just, again, for negative things. We want to let them know. If there's a thing you like, make sure that gets support.
It continues, exactly.
I got a couple of texts I need to read. A couple of things. First and foremost, good afternoon, MJ, Naughty, and your guest. Maybe your guest is not aware that the contractors built Pinewood on a swamp.
I understand.
Yeah, no,
All right, next thing. The freedom of information will never come to fruition under this PRP administration. You got better luck of it passing under the FNM than under the PRP.
The funding for it, I think, like Matt, well, we know we had a conversation with the leader of the opposition yesterday, who did say that, and we asked about the timeline, and he's extremely firm that, yeah, this will be a priority. Because I think that was kind of like the thing that threw us with what's happening now. We thought it was a priority for this government coming in as well, but right
and
now...
And they pumped the air brakes on it.
And now it's not a priority because all these other things, which will exist forever, those other things will always exist. So to me right now, it's getting someone to say we will do this and then keep their word.
So then let's back that up in a minute, because it was administration
and before that. So we keep hearing this song.
So I'm thinking that the best way to provide this move is to make sure that there's a strong civic voice, that folks who approach us in the grocery store, the pharmacy, or out in the park, and tell us, hey, keep fighting for freedom of information. Your voice needs to go directly to those folks who know that you will vote for them in the coming years. And that is the power that will move. The political will not move unless the public will starts to move it. And so I think that's also an important component that we need to leverage. It's easy to say, many have said before, we'll bring this forward. Right. The only thing that's going to make sure that happens is making sure that the community, the Bahamian voice, says regularly, this is what we want, and this is how we want it, and when we want it. And so I think that's important that we hear it from different sides, but all sides have said yes, and we still don't have it. So I think the pressure and the feedback and the encouragement that comes from the community is really important to continue to foster. And that's an area that we know can grow. It's an area we know we can build on. It's an area where we know we all can expand on and improve. So let's work on that together.
And I agree with 52 call earlier, like, do not feel like this is over or don't feel despondent. I'm going to be positive like you now, Matt, because you and your team have been doing a good job going out in the community.
Thank you.
And educating like different groups of people, young people, old people. Tell us just a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing, because I know you guys have been doing some interesting stuff.
So we're working to connect to stakeholders in the Family Islands around a number of issues. This Be Clear initiative is really starting to catch fire, and we're going to be coming to communities near you, offering these sessions for free in spaces and community groups that are reaching out to us. We're going to be in Long Island. We're going to be in Eleuthera. We're going to be in Grand Bahama. We're going to be throughout Nassau. There might be an interest in actually going to Andros, which we'd be real excited to do. And in doing this, it's our conversations more than education to some degree. We'll explain to you what the concepts are, but we also want to hear your thoughts about it. What are the things that are challenging you from getting involved? What are the issues that you're concerned about? Because it's important to anchor that in some of this conversation. Going and looking at the budget by itself just to look at the budget doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you're in Pinewood and you want to know how are we going to address these issues, if you're in Adelaide or you're in Yamacraw or you're in Barryport or in Andros or in South Eleuthera, you want to know what the particular things are that affect your community, and it gives you a reason to be involved. It gets you a reason to be informed. So those are the things we want to help folks to be able to do is build that comfort, know where to get the information, and go there. Our website is orgbahamas.com. Lots of free resources that you can tap into. We also have been doing a project which we're real excited about called Map for Good. And Map for Good is helping to connect and understand all of the not-for-profit and faith-based organizations that are working across the Bahamas. Last estimate, we might have over 1,400 registered not-for-profits, and that includes churches that are out there, and all are doing really good and important work in the community, but we're not really working together in the same way. We're a little bit siloed like everybody.
Right.
We don't have a significant list that tells you here's all those groups and what they're doing and where they're doing. So our effort is going to be building a database and a map so folks will be able to find what that also means in terms of preparing for disasters, in terms of leveraging groups that are working on common issues, in terms of sharing information across islands and communities. So if you have a not-for-profit or a church that you're working with or that's having an impact in your community, please let them know. You can also go to our website. There's a little bit of a form you can fill out, and we're going to be doing that list, and once it's available, making it available to the public. So our real fundamental belief is that if we have policies that are transparent and reflect the people's interests, and we have citizens who are informed and involved and engaged, and we see spaces where we can have two-way meaningful dialogue between government and the different sectors, and not-for-profit organizations and faith-based organizations that are impactful and sustainable, we're going to have so much more opportunity to move ourselves forward as a country. It's not all going to be about government. It has to be playing our role as well.
Right. No, I love it.
Got a couple of texts for you, too.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Naughty and MJ. Ask Matt if he can do an online petition that citizens can sign to take to the government during this debate.
We can do a petition, and we were considering that. At the same time, we also know this is a heavy politicized time, and we want to make sure that folks understand that the messages they're getting are coming directly from the people that live in their communities. We've seen a lot of petitions, most recently about the moorings and other types of issues, and unfortunately they don't seem to get the same attention and traction. But we've had a few folks who've already reached out directly to their MPs, actually more than a few, and the response seems to be pretty significant. So respectfully, I think we're going to keep trying to encourage folks to make sure they make that commitment to send a letter or an email, and then CC us at citizen@orgbahamas.com, so we know that you did, and that way we'll know what the collective effort is. But for interest, feel free to reach out to Org Bahamas at 477-3134 and let us know how you want to help.
And August's doing a lot of heavy lifting. That doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities for others out there who may be so inclined to do certain things, to go ahead and do certain things and then keep it up.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be just whenever we approach election season. It should be all the time. And I would really love to see us get to that place as well.
Yep.
Well, Matt, I want to thank you for stopping by. All right, it's been another good, candid conversation.
Thank you, sir.
And I encourage folks who want to get involved at ORG to obviously, look them up online. And they got some great things going on in the community, like Matt said. And get to letter writing as well. Don't wait for mine
And
to
it's
do it.
so-
Don't wait for
no,
me to
but
do it,
it's
MJ.
so
Write your letter to your
easy.
politicians. Real easy.
Visit www.orgbahamas.com/FOIA-hub. And let me tell you, they made it so. Just go to their website. Trust me, you'll
Everything's
see
there.
it.
If you go to the
It's
website, you'll get to
straightforward.
it.
You'll get to it. It does a lot of the heavy lifting. And you can just, like they said, it's a tool that helps you. You put your thoughts in there as well. You say what the issue is that you want to talk about, but they have done a lot of work to make it really easy for you to do. Just minutes. I did my letter in about 3 minutes. That's how good this tool is. So you guys, go check them out because they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and we appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you again soon, Matt. Be safe.
Absolutely.
Go out to the family. Enjoy your holiday weekend coming up,
We
Matt.
got to let Matt do some boot. But with Buju, you know, Matt, you would sing some Buju.
Anyway,
Y'all don't want to hear me sing.
we send you to the break with Sid Hans MP and F&M MP, Adrian White's favorite reggae artist, Buju Banton. Gargamel, give it to them.
Look, it's politics time again. All you gonna vote now? This is love and not war. Ya shall vote, ya. If it's Rasta, them talking. Look here, bloodshed from Rima. Down in the valley,
All I do is win, no matter what.
Feeling lucky? Here's Cuban Willie's numerology report. Brought to you by the Island Game.
Buenos dias! It's Wednesday. And it's me, Cuban Willie, time for my numerology report, brought to you, of course, by the Island Game. And today I got the lucky 3 ball for you, the Tres Pelotas. And today's lucky 3 ball, the 127, 127. Play it and win with the Island Game. Stay winning, my friends.
Turn up the heat and the flavor with the new Jalapeno Fire from KFC. Crunch into the iconic taste of KFC's original recipe, extra large filet that's made with KFC's secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices cooked to perfection. Stacked high with spicy jalapeno peppers, pepper jack cheese, and our cool but kickin' jalapeno sauce, all wrapped up in a soft toasted brioche bun. Go bolder and crank up the heat with our spicy zinger filet. The new Jalapeno Fire is bringing the heat, and it's finger-licking good.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Calling all beer lovers. Get ready for Portside Pints. Join us on Saturday, June the 21st from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Nassau Cruise Port to sample beers from all around the world with live music and amazing Bahamian food. $10 general admission includes a free Portside Pints beer mug, or take it up a notch and check out our exclusive VIP lounge. That's the Portside Pints Beer Festival, June 21st at Nassau Cruise Port. Don't miss it. Visit Facebook or Instagram for details.
We're still here. Since 1941, the Armory Company has been your trusted partner and one-stop solution for all your business and technology needs. From printers, video surveillance, and access control to ATMs, we've got it all. And we ship to all family islands. Call our dedicated customer service team now at 397-1600 or visit us behind Wendy's on Mackey Street and experience excellence that stands the test of time. The Armory Company. Your success is our business.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Why my people suffer so bad? Oh, is it that should really be sad? Is it a misplaced melancholy? Why? Well, it's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My people may talk. It's politics time again. Are you gonna vote now? My God. Rise up, falling suffers. Rise and take your stance again. He who fights and run away will live to fight another day. It's politics time again.
We're back at you on the Wednesday, June 4th edition of Talking Heads. Your boy Naughty along with Mary Jane and the company right up until 6 p.m. Now listen, normally we'd be in on Friday, we do the weekend review, but it's not going to happen this week. So we're going to move things up a little bit. We'll creep into the 5 o'clock hour. We'll do a little portion of the weekend review now. We got Pearlie in tomorrow. All right, he'll take you into the holiday weekend. We will talk a little bit of sports toward the end of this hour. But a lot of things we need to talk about. Obviously, we just talked with Matt Aubrey about the Freedom of Information Act. So we got to keep an eye there. I mean, we look at some other things. The U.S. restricts visas for Central American officials over Cuban medical program.
They said they would do that.
They
said they would do that.
And then you see government signs $20 million contract with Rowdy Boys for Long Island Road and Water Project.
Right. So Long
so
Island.
I think this only cost $20 million in Long Island to get done, but $80 million elsewhere in
Very
Rockefeller.
short road. It's me a driveway.
Wow. Good to see a young company getting the contract.
I love it. And it looks like
and
a
the
young
name,
behavior.
Rowdy Boys. There you go.
That's like a real behavior name, right? That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah,
and, you know,
I like it.
So I don't have a problem with that. But at the end of the day,
get it done, Rowdy Boys.
We still look around, and then and you look at the gas tracker. Rubis 548, Shell 546, Esso 539. That's still a lot of money. Esso may be the lick right there.
Yeah, that's the lick for true.
But you know, I
Big
mean,
difference.
Invest in a pogo stick. That's what I tell people.
Or those little scooters, not the electric ones. Well, maybe the electric ones, you know.
Correct. So the lines are open. You can chime in however you want. Text lines are open too. Listen, MJ.
They're still debating the budget in the House, by the way, yeah.
Folks still debating the budget. And now we got fake news again circulating. And I've been sent this. This is about the 9th time I've been sent this. You know, we had the F&M leader and leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition, Mr. Michael Pintard, on yesterday. He clearly said that they would support the march and they would wear neutral colors.
I'm hoping everyone wears neutral colors, or is that not going to happen?
But now you have, again,
so much confusion.
Bad-minded fake news creators, okay? Putting out flyers for the F&M saying wear party colors. All type of foolishness, man. And it's like...
Where... Honestly, sometimes I wonder where people find the time, you know.
The same empty barrels, craving and singing for the crumbs they miss.
I know it's like a job for some people. They're trying to just be making up all this stuff and putting it out there. Like, that is crazy to me. But I guess we're in the silly season, as we call it, right?
Very silly. And the surplus, MJ, the surplus. Anybody see the surplus? Anybody see the surplus? Because if you all see it, let me know.
Well, it's a projected surplus.
Oh, it's projected?
Right.
That's why when I looked in the fridge today, there wasn't no surplus of eggs and no surplus of actual stuff.
Oh, Lord.
When I looked at football season coming up, no surplus in the Bear Money account. What was really happening?
Definitely no surplus of that, no.
You didn't have to make it so painful.
Yeah.
Come on, man. We need more than a surplus, like talks of a surplus. We need to see benefits. We need to see relief. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
I mean,
you look around, and there's a surplus, you know, but not of the things we want, not of the things we need.
There are a lot of capital works planned in the budget, so I'm sure that the different islands that are going to benefit from these projects will start to feel it a little bit on the ground. I'm hoping it's not like a closed loop where only a few people benefit from it, and it takes a while to trickle down. Right? I hope that's not the case, but for a little while there, some people are going to start to feel things. The problem is that may not significantly, you know, for the majority of people, bring the cost of living down for us. We still have high electricity bills, which is a concern. We still have high prices at the grocery. I have completely changed the way I shop.
You still
I have completely changed the way I shop. And I need all of my little, you know, the little stamps you get when you go to like Super Value and Quality. I need all of my stamps. I'm double checking the bottom of my receipt when I go to like Fresh Market or Solomon's. I need to see my credits right. I need every break, every deal I could get. And I'm not satisfied unless I get it because everything is so expensive now. Like everything is so expensive. And that's what we're not seeing when we're going to get, a break. Either the income needs to come up or these prices need to come down.
We still got a surplus of Bahamians living below the poverty line, hungry citizens every day in the soup kitchens and the soup lines.
That's been a going concern, yeah.
Still got a surplus of foreign nationals, all right? A surplus of Bahamians unemployed, which is, a little problem.
Well, foreign nationals in and of itself, is you mean like undocumented?
Undocumented.
That came into the country illegally and just kind of like being a little bit of and I'm trying to be so sensitive, like being a bit of a drag on the economy because we don't have the resources to deal with all these
surplus
persons
in crime, murder, rapes, violence against women and children, gang violence, police-involved killings. It's a surplus of all of that.
The violence against women and children. And see, all of these things, it shouldn't necessarily be that way, but all of these things are tied to the economy. They're also tied to a lot of the stress that hasn't been relieved post-pandemic. I remember when Dr. Darville first started talking about health and wellness. I said when they added the wellness to it, I had such great expectations because I thought that, like health nuts like California overnight, but I thought we would move in that direction. And I thought that mental health would become something we invested more in.
If he handles the Ministry of Health like he did the Ministry of Grand Bahama Portfolio, we're gonna have issues, right?
But I'm just not getting it. It's not giving. You know how they say it's not giving? It's not giving right now. Like I need a little bit more. And I don't know if it's a resource thing or a focus thing.
I got some more for you. It's more surplus on taxes, BPL load shedding, potholes, complaints about lack of quality health care, of ambulances that are, not driven by stick or not stick shift driven. A surplus of disgruntled government workers, disenfranchised family island residents. The list goes on and on. Let's go to the phone lines real quick. Talking Heads.
Good afternoon, Naughty.
Good afternoon.
And Madam MJ.
Good afternoon.
I have a surplus of eggs. I bought a dozen. You and Naughty could have two.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We will take that. Yes, we will take that.
Here's my thing, though, before I go. I am pleasantly happy that there's some movement in regards to what's being done. But what I find suspicious is that all of these things are happening just now.
Right.
What happened when people were suffering 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, you hear this for you, and this for you, and that for you. I love my people. I'm just suspicious. That's perhaps I am wrong, but I will continue to watch and I will continue to listen. Have a wonderful holiday, folks.
Thank you, and you too. Enjoy.
Great one. Yeah, I think it's smelling a little election-ish, right? Like election budget-ish.
Yeah,
it's smelling a little bit like that.
Yeah, a lot of people seem like they got their little sarcasm out onto health and wellness with no increase in NHI budget. Good day.
Yeah. No. I get that point.
I get that point. I totally get it.
With you.
That's what I'm saying. When they say good day, I get it. Yes. I get that people are very disenfranchised. Bahamians are disenfranchised. And this doesn't even deal with party politics now. This is Bahamians. They ain't good old suck teeth money.
And the thing about it is the leadership. Like, I think we could, because Bahamians are willing to do the work, but where is the leadership on some of these issues? It's missing, It's just not there.
Breaking news, Bahamas. If we need and want a Freedom of Information Act, we need to vote out Philip Davis and this whatless nightmare PLP government. A lot of people feel it'll never come to fruition under this administration.
Well, it's not a priority.
It's just opposed to what they stand for in the sense of, all right, we're going to do it, take our word for it, or nothing. If you don't take our word for it, fine, but we ain't letting you know the details.
That was a little bit weird, I got to say, for the Prime Minister to say, well, I know that I'm an accountable person. I'm transparent. Sir, we need to be able to verify that, first of all. And second of all, like the discussion we had with Matt, it's not just about a gotcha moment for politicians. I think freedom of information, and if we start to move in that direction, would bring about such a systemic change with the way that we, do business in this country, as well as, it'll save us money. Like Matt said, it'll build trust. Not all those things. Saving money, building trust will improve your quality of life, right? It'll also help you be more participatory in what's happening in your country. Maybe you would be willing to put in a bid for this contract, not feeling like, well, they already give it to their cronies, so I might as well don't even try. It's kind of it's dejecting sometimes when you think about the opportunities that you're supposed to have in your own country that you don't have because you just don't even really know what's happening.
No, I need your help on this, okay?
Sure.
My better half. All right. I hypothetically, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm asking it for enlightenment.
Oh, boy.
Okay? But hypothetically, if one is in public office and they are quoted as saying, "I know who I am transparent, I am clear, I am crystal,"
yes,
then one should have never had during their career a time to have documents sealed. Would there?
I mean, you'd have to be a little bit more specific.
I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically, if I was all good, I
they
would
didn't
have
say
to
you know,
have
they
anything.
say they know. So that's always something else crazy. Oh,
I
Lord.
just remember the irony of things thinking back. No, I remember several election cycles back, certain people talking about how transparent they are. We're saying, "Oh, we have to have these documents sealed because an election is coming up, and I don't need the information in this case coming out."
Yeah, it's all disappointing.
Involved two brothers.
A lot of smoke,
I think it's
smoke
been
and
talked
mirrors.
about, in barbershops far and wide. But
Sure.
allegations, to this day still swirl about that. So, I need to know. I need to look.
But honestly, for any politician to, and the crazy thing about it, I've spoken to other politicians outside of the prime minister who has spoken on this, and the minister of foreign affairs they've both indicated this is not a big deal to them. Some of the other politicians that we've talked to over the years have been kind of very enthusiastic about freedom of information, but I'm getting the impression that they're not as forceful in their conversations.
Maybe the players
within
want a freedom of information.
their own
But
party.
the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, and the head coach don't want it, so they don't
coming
implement
across
it.
because I'm thinking about a couple of people we had conversations
Correct.
with from both parties, and I was like, I thought this thing had the political will to get done, but apparently not. The buck stopped the top, and the top stopped the buck.
Good day, Naughty and MJ. Perhaps your guest might have been unaware, but 90% of the awarded government contracts never goes on the portal. I frequent the portal, and most times the contracts that the government touts, I have hardly ever seen come through the portal.
No, absolutely. I can understand that. I think what Matt was saying is that at this point in history, more than now you got to compare this to the zero. So it's not hard when we've been such a close kind of enclave when it comes to these contracts and posting them on the portal. We've been so terrible in the past, basically, that at this moment, this is the best we've ever been. That's not to say that it's even good or perfect, but it is the best that we've ever been. But I totally agree with the texter because we see the results. How many no-bid contracts have been given out without an explanation?
Without even a look, like no-look passes in basketball. Here, you take it. Ain't nobody looking. Just
And we're
take it,
talking
go.
hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's just-
183, 80, so on and so forth.
And another thing that's kind of disturbing, I'll say this, particularly with these big contracts that we hear about, or these deals we hear about, and once, like Matt said, these things hit the light of day, notice how many of them had to be paused. Notice how many of them had to be...
The key word, pause, not rescinded, not revoked, not stopped.
But listen to me.
Or canceled. Pause. So they
there's
can
an
pop up at
argument
any time and people still going to get paid.
That can be made that if they were like... I'm going to be very careful how I phrase this. If you're giving out contracts, you think that this thing needs to be done. Yes, there's a worry when there's, so many different things we could do with this $183 million. That may change your mind. But what was your justification in the first place for awarding that? And then how did that just turn off once the contract hit the light of day? What was your justification to have that moorings contract? And how did that get reversed just because it hit the light of day? These things must have been important to you for some reason that you're willing to put $200 million of our money into it. But as soon as we find out there's something about it that you're not willing to stand behind politically.
Kind of like when you make a deal in opposition, and then when you become the government, you enact it, and then you wonder why there's a difference or a problem.
You're not
people
going
getting upset.
This big money. See, couple.
183, another 80.
I would think the process.
That's 263 right
I
there.
would think the process to get to that final decision that this is a go should be so stringent. This ain't no play, little bit of money.
Not monopoly money.
And so the need must have been great. It must have been there. You must have thought it prudent. What about us finding out about it suddenly? You know what? Let's just slide that in the back drawer. Never mind. Ha ha ha. We were just kidding. Like, are you being serious?
But there's far too much of that we've seen. And it gets to the point now where people say, like the text says, Naughty and MJ, it's all talk. Nothing is happening. We will do this, we will do that, but nothing is really happening and nothing will happen.
I think a lot of it.
A lot of disenfranchised Bahamians. A lot.
I think a lot of it is also the way that the money eventually makes its way into. I recall the Prime Minister talking about $10 billion in foreign direct investments over the last 2 years, which is like phenomenal, right? But the problem is that where's the money going? Who's getting it?
How's it broken down? Why can't we see anything?
If a lot of it has to do with these cruise ports, their own island,
right?
It's going to take a while,
correct?
Right? And then a lot of it is kind of like
in
closed enclave, particularly where you have a situation where, okay, they build their little private destination, as they call it. Now they're serving the drinks. Now they're doing this. People paying with their little...
They could tell us however many foreign staff they send into work. They could say we only send 30 when it's really 200 at rent, and we still get our $3 a day and be happy. Shut up.
Sure, you may have invested, $200 million on this private destination, but if every dollar that comes into that private destination goes right back to you, and we're seeing like minimum drip off... What difference? We're not going to feel the $10 billion. We're not going to feel it.
I got one from the Texas. Naughty, with your permission, may I ask MJ a question? Thanks. MJ, how do you know when a politician is lying?
How do you know?
Their lips are moving. But bump. Text is here all year. Try the conch on the main stage. You got the texture going up.
The political class is going to be really mad at you in the chattering class making these kind of jokes.
Naughty, good afternoon to you and MJ. Philip is giving the country away. This is his last chance. He reminds me of Joe Biden. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. Every time I hear that name, I got to behave myself. Because part of me feels for the man, and the other part of me, the comedian, got jokes. So let's just move off of Mr. Biden. And I would say, Texter, to your point, MJ, don't you get the impression that, like in one of those classic gangster movies, like the alarm goes in the bag, put everything in the bag, destroy the receipts, put everything in the bag, we got to get out the back.
You have a pretty good talent at those accents. It's pretty good.
Well, thank you. I try, Humphrey Bogart was very, influential. Sweetheart.
You could tell.
There you go.
Say the sweetheart again.
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart.
And then there was Pesci. You stuttering, muttering, look.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
censor yourself.
But when you look at Pesci, though, really, Pesci has been brilliant over his career, too,
You went from Joe Biden to Joe Pesci. I love it. Keep going.
But I'm just saying, one aged gracefully, one not so much. But But yeah, Pesci's done well. I looked at some of the work he's done, like really, and it just dawned on me, outside of Goodfellas, which is the classic, which is, which embodies.
Was he in Casino as well?
Mm-hmm.
Casino.
And he was brilliant in Casino.
I had Home Alone.
Home Alone classic, and I got one better for you. Lethal Weapon. Never go to the drive-thru, because they screw you at the drive-thru, all right? Remember, I know that you know that I know that they know that you know that they don't go to the drive-thru.
Joe Biden, Joe Pesci.
No, but I looked at it, and I was looking at his... Oh, God. Was it The Englishman? Was it The Gentleman? Was it?
It was The Englishman.
Man.
No, sorry. The Irishman.
The Irishman. The two of them.
Let me get that right, because my Irish friends be like, don't mix that up. The Irishman.
That there to me was some great. I watched it and I said, De Niro's De Niro. You always know what
like
you get.
Pacino's Pacino.
Correct.
Right.
But Pesci's like, you know what? You right up there with your counterparts. In your own right, you are up there, my brother. And the way he did that part, I saw he was so aged. And it was good to see him being the senior to De Niro, because in all the other movies, De Niro was the senior to him.
That is true. Correct? That's a little role reversal there.
It was good. And yes, texted my cousin Vinny.
Oh, my gosh.
But the 2 Utes.
The Utes.
The 2 Utes.
I was
Utes.
Well, not Google, because we didn't have Google back then, but I sent the dictionary, and I did see Utes with the S on the end.
What is a grit, Your Honor? Could you tell me what a grit is? Thank you. Listen, Dexter, you know what? Me and MJ was just talking about date night. We might go get some food and go. Now we need to pull up my cousin. We might have to have a good laugh.
Some movies,
that was an hilarious movie,
Sure.
It was really funny in its own right.
It was good. It was great.
All right. It was kind of funny and disturbing in its own right to me. And I think if you ask any voting member of the voting populace, registered voters, non-registered voters, voters thinking about voting, citizens at large, when they hear mumbo jumbo about giving politicians a raise, the red flags go up.
Giving them a what?
A raise, an increase in pay.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay, I heard about this.
Now, listen.
Oh.
I can let you know, and I know you a long time. I've seen your ascension. Nobody's mad at you. You put your effort in. But we all know you greased. You floaty. You gunky. You a plain jumping, jackpot giving away son of a gun. So since you got so much disposable income, put your money where your mouth is, and you give these politicians a raise since it's your bright idea.
Oh.
All right? And while you're at it, instead of worrying about them getting a raise, why don't you raise your payout on your 3, 4, and 5 team parlays, especially in football season, so I could finish just breaking the bank with y'all.
The crazy thing about it is, because someone asked me about this yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Because I ain't gonna break the bank with my good sponsor, the Island Game.
I did read that that op-ed that Mr. Bastian, the public. I think it ended up in both papers. I think I saw it, but for sure in the Nassau Guardian, and everyone read it because the headline, which by the way, the headline isn't necessarily written by the op-ed reader. Why you laughing? So,
man, listen here. I won't just jump to the chase. Sebastian's my boy, but listen here. Money don't buy you common sense and sense all the time. Sometimes you just get foot and mouth disease, you know. You need to extract the foot out your mouth because nobody on that run.
But let me tell you.
And you still all right with me, but guess what?
He's
comedian hat on. I got jokes there, buddy.
Some stuff on social media as well. And he's been taking a licking for this op-ed that, you know, I'm sure he took some time to think about.
And to his credit, he's had some other op-eds that were worth the read.
But the thing about it is, whereas everyone read this and came back and was like, he got to be crazy. He need to stick to what he know because he's talking fool. And I actually read this op-ed totally different. I actually thought he wasn't even advocating as much for the current batch of leaders that we have. He was basically in catch today. Y'all ain't got no good leaders because y'all don't pay for no good leaders. That's why y'all don't got none. That was and he even took the time to put a line in there. He says, quote, for perspective, the head of a medium-sized private company with far fewer variables likely earns 2 to 3 times that salary. This is not to discredit or diminish those who have served or are serving in these positions, end quote. Because he literally said you get what you pay for. And then he's advocating to pay more. The only logical conclusion is...
If you pay more, I might run one day? Is that what it is?
The logical conclusion is you're not getting much because you ain't paying much. You're getting what you pay for, and you need to pay more if you want better. This is the reason we don't have better, because we're not paying better. Now, that's one separate argument. But my point, and he could clarify if he wants to, I read it as a diss to the batch that we have now, okay? He's basically saying we're not attracting the talent because we're not paying the big money. And now I have to disagree with him on that point because we are paying. He talks about salaries, brings in Singapore without the proper context. The proper context just isn't there. We have a GDP of around what? Say about 15, let's be generous, they say about 15 billion now, right? Singapore... with a GDP of $500 billion, so 500 billion plus. He talks about their salaries, but if you scale them in an absolute sense, yes, their politicians, their ministers do make more. But if you scale it as a percentage of GDP, because he starts talking about incentives and all these bonuses, then we are overpaying our batch, okay? We're overpaying our batch. And I think the argument in the op-ed would have also landed a little bit better with like persons like me, like really trying to figure out what he's trying to say, if he would have added the context. He says, you get what you pay for. Well, sir, we pay a lot of our ministers. We spend $70 million a year on consultants. You talk about all this work that the ministers do, all this expertise that they bring to the table. Not all of them do, some do, not all do. And we have to supplement it because we know they don't bring that to the table. That's why we're paying $70 million. Where's our get back for that kind of an investment?
Why did you say cut back on your consultants?
Excuse me, you could get your $4 million out of that.
Yeah, you can get your money right there.
But we apparently need these consultants. Isn't that what we're being told? Isn't that what we're told? We need these experts. He's saying to us, oh, you're not getting the experts because you're not paying. We're going to be paying for it anyway. We spend $70 million on consultants because we know our ministers don't know everything about everything. Singapore has $500 billion in their GDP, and they spend $145 million. Do you see where it's not scaling
and some of our
properly?
ministers don't like to declare, so if you
Do you
give them a
see-
raise, you don't know,
see where it's not
we
scaling
need to know how they
properly?
came in as $1,000 a year and leave as a millionaire.
But I'm not a person that doesn't want to see the country go. So let's do this. Instead of just putting out these esoteric essays about how we need to pay more to get more.
But that's the word of the week right there, esoteric.
How about you show me that you're worth that money like you would have to in the private sector? How about you double our GDP? How about we have a $30 billion GDP? Then you come to me and I double your salary because I have no problem doing that. You show me what you're good for and I have no problem doing that. I'm sure the Bahamian people would feel the same way.
All right, we got the music. We coming to the break, right? But yeah, we continuing the music
like
today
this
on
one.
Talking Heads, all selected by DJ
this one.
Adrian White, a.k.a. MP for St. Anne's.
We need to give him a DJ name.
DJ Whitey.
No. Well, his last name is White.
Whitey.
Yeah, y'all, you know what? Y'all tax us. We need to come up with a name for St. Anne's.
Straight from the Eastern Road.
Send us your text. We need some suggestions. We got to give him a DJ name.
NWO is straight out of Compton. He's straight off the Eastern Road, repping St.
he was
Anne's.
literally singing today. That was crazy good.
And Adrian, if you're listening, this the chorus here. Mr. Producer, let him know how the chorus go. Ready? Go.
No for uno way have a sit down and pop. I go sell some orange on the sidewalk. No for uno in the business and just a skylark. No for them a wheel, no for them a shark. No for them done and do and go park. But I am moving.
Listen, Adrian.
Like a nuclear. If you try to test me, then they must be prepared. But you're moving like a nuclear. If you try to test me, they must find a new gear.
I think the PM got the message, though. I ain't gonna lie. More ways than one. Let's get to the break. Flip side of the break, we'll continue the Wednesday, June 4th edition of Talking Heads Lines Open. And we'll talk a little bit of sports toward the end. But right now, we still got to talk about, what's your take? You all agree with Savaz? Give these politicians a raise? Yeah, let me know what you think on that and everything else that we've been talking about so far. Lines are open and we'll continue it on the flip side of the break. Keep it right where you got it.
Cross me border, I am cold. Now mother take me for fun. On of the world, on the space, cause I'm a man rule, I am humble. And I can also be nice. Give it for me, because me ready for me slice.
Crunch your hunger cravings and satisfy the whole family with KFC bucket meals starting at just $20. Get freshly prepared golden fried chicken, buttery biscuits, and add your favorite large sides for flavor that will make your mouth happy and your feet dance. Order online or WhatsApp hi to 557-3663 to grab your KFC bucket today. Big flavor, bigger value, and always KFC. Finger licking.
Dawn Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances, so come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
Naughty Johnny's restaurant can only be described as the experience you want to recreate again and again and again. Their motto is simple food done well. You're welcome into their home at Naughty Johnny's, where you can dine on crack conch fritters, and other Bahamian favorites. There's also an international flair that's guaranteed to offer something for everyone. Enjoy a good meal and listen to a live band on their patio Friday and Saturday nights, or brunch on Saturday and Sunday, only at Naughty Johnny's restaurant in the Old Town Plaza, Old Fort. They're open 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday. Naughty Johnny's, well worth the trip.
Looking for tech solutions without the hassle? Since 1941, the Armory Company has been the Bahamas' trusted tech partner. From access control and cloud video surveillance to smart home setups and laptop repairs, we handle it all. Need a repair? We've got you covered, no matter where you bought it. Can't find what you need? Call us at 397-1600 for a custom solution. Visit us behind Wendy's on Mackey Street with delivery to all Family Islands. The Armory Company, where your tech problems meet their match.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. at cancercenter.com.
Tired of the hustle and bustle of Nassau? Fly away to the Family Islands with our fly-free offer for Bahamian residents. Stay at any of our hotels for 2 nights and get a round-trip ticket for free. Visit BahamasResidence.com for details.
My Bahama land, yes, my country. Come fly away with me.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Yeah, man, some man want to know and youth and youth a little blind in life. Like they know want to reach your way. Well, all original youth know them have a big in their life, man. Big up on the chest, man. Bunch of man done one of case again. You don't tell them some road boy. Want you know coming around with things this year.
This is your first and last word.
I am moving like a nuclear. DJ want to test me on to find a new gear, but you moving like a nuclear. DJ want to test me on must be prepared. The big cake is here and but you want him share. I'm not today, yesterday, neither last year. Long time in there, so you know me must prepare. I go bust like a balloon in the atmosphere because me moving like a nuclear. DJ want to test me on must be prepared. I am moving like a new.
We're back at you right here on the Wednesday, June 4th edition of Talking Heads. And this is Talking Heads, all brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
Bahamas Out Island Promotion Board, Burger King, the Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival, City of Hope, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, KFC, Muffler World, Nassau Cruise Port, Naughty Johnny's, Print Masters, Sandcastle Bahamas, Tropical Gyros, and the Water and Sewerage Corporation.
Pick up to all the sponsors. And of course, like I said, 5:40 p.m. is the time. We got a couple minutes left. Let me get these couple of texts. Naughty, the more money the politicians get, the more Sebas gets. Can't blame Sebas. You have to blame. Watch those tunes, Naughty. Watch those tunes. No, Maddie. Tunes today selected by St. Anne's MP, Mr. Adrian White.
Yeah, I don't take, let me see how I say this. I take it as, that's usually that is the thing. If I spend more, then I'll get more, I'll get better. And I think that's what the gist of the op-ed is. If we spend more, we could get better, guys. Because, I know we don't have good stuff right now, right? But if we spent more, we could get smarter people. We could get more experienced people. We could get, like titans of industry. But the only thing is that it doesn't really work that way. If it's anything, we should talk about how these political parties, kind of select their cabinets and their nominees. We could probably better to have a conversation like that. But without transparency, without accountability, without being able to get us our FOIA, then don't come talking to me about no raises. I get it. You think we don't get much. I disagree on that point because I think we spend a lot. We do spend a lot on the civil service. We spend a lot on the consultants to the tune of $70 million. What do you think we paying for? You think we sitting back saying, "Oh my gosh, this cabinet minister who only makes $70,000, maybe if we got someone and paid them $200,000, things will be better." If that were the case, if we were actually buying expertise, we wouldn't have to be supplementing it so much with the millions of dollars that we do. I disagree. We do not get what we pay for because we spend a lot of money and we seem to just be managing decline.
I text her, I know you long time, and I only get engaged time, but I highly doubt that Sebas is running for any constituency in the next election. And the constituency you're referring to, maybe, but you got to go through Dr. Johnson allegedly, and perhaps Mr. Archer allegedly, and perhaps Mr. Anderson allegedly. So, I mean, let's go on and that one. Maybe.
You know what? It's possible that maybe he has political aspirations, but it's going to take a couple of moves to happen before that can happen. For instance, even being an MP may not be beneficial.
He likes meteoric ascensions. I know he won't.
Right? And also...
You don't do the line thing.
The law would have to change because you're not going to get what you want to get out of... He's already an ambassador. Like, what else is... That's the best they could give him, considering the laws surrounding those who own gaming houses, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean... Maybe, you know what? I won't even speculate.
Now you can
So I gonna give them a raise. Hold on now. We in between the lines. That's why you want them to get a raise. Work on them laws.
Naughty, let Sebastian know if politicians need more money, we need a national lottery. Ouch.
We do need a national lottery, I'm sure, right? A lot of people would think that. What did the referendum say?
Talking Heads.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening to the madam.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm going to be 57 next year. I've been following politics for quite a while. I've been pretty active in both major parties. I don't like the trajectory of this country where it's heading. I don't think the country needs more money. I think it's the mismanagement of funds that has the country in the conundrum that it is in. And I'm wondering at what point we as Bahamians going to wake up and come to the realization that the people that we have been expecting to do something in the country and the citizenry, they really are not interested in doing it. Now, when we look at the culture of the Bahamas right now, people are becoming more angry. And it shows on the way that people drive on the street. You see, I don't think we could continue talking about what we expect from these people and knowing within our hearts that they're not going to deliver. They have shown us, you know, and we really have to be honest with ourselves as Bahamians, especially those of us who are young and looking for a safer and brighter future, that the persons that we are depending on are not interested in doing what we are asking or requesting of them. So the power lies in the hands of the people. What are we going to do come next election? Who are we going to vote for? You know? Are we depending on putting in the F&M again? What they have to offer the country? What the COI has to offer the country? What the PLP has to offer the country? The nation is sinking.
What would you like to see, caller?
I would like to see these young persons who enter politics to not get caught up in the quagmire of politics. They know they when they are qualified, but do not get caught up in politics and party politics to the place where they lose themselves, right? And you know what they went there for? To better the country, right? To make laws, legislation that would be in the best interest of the Bahamian people. But they get caught up in politics. They get caught up in the fine and dine and the party and the traveling. And it seems as if it's a culture, the culture that is not serving the Bahamian people well.
You made some good points, man. Good conversation, good call, good points. Appreciate it, caller.
Thank you so much,
And like I said, you made some excellent points. And it's not just...
And that's some sage advice, too, you know.
Correct. So, you know, you got to take all of that into consideration, you know, when we go to the polls the next election. You have to look at the landscape and look at everything. You have to take everything into consideration with fresh, clear eyes.
And I think
and not the same old, same old.
And I know, like, that's the way we normally focus, like, okay, when election comes, we'll deal with this problem. But I think I'm hoping to one day see a country where we're more active outside of just the electoral season, where we're active like year round, you know. I know we all have lives, things to do. We have family, we have children to raise, we have parents to be close to, like we have different things to do, busy lives, businesses to promote, businesses to start, you know, a lot of creativity springing from us. But I'm hoping that we do kind of develop a culture where we're active all year round. Stuff like what Org has proposed, that the tool with the letter writing, I think is a great first step, and I hope more Bahamians use it.
All right, real quick, we got to get out of here. Off the top of your head, who you like in the NBA Finals? Games, you know, over 7 games. We'll do individual games starting on Tuesday when we get back.
Sure, but like big picture
winner? But for the series, big picture winner?
I'm probably going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder, but my heart is with Tyrese Halliburton. I kind of have a sore spot for him.
He's light-skinned brothers. You and these light-skinned brothers.
No, I have a sore spot for him, but I kind of also have a sore spot for Shai, so I'm in a conundrum, like I'm being pulled in both directions.
I like both players. I like both teams off the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals. Somebody called the show. I asked me top of your head what you think. I said Oklahoma City and Indiana. So I don't mind that portion of it. Now, this portion of it, I like Oklahoma City in 6 games. 4 games to 2.
Really? Okay.
And I think they just got better defense in the long run. I think this series is going to be way more entertaining than people have predicted. And people who have prognosticated that it's going to be a horrible series are going to eat their words and find that it's going to be a very entertaining series.
Many people have said that, like, Indiana doesn't have a chance. I don't buy that. I feel like when you get to that level, you have a chance. Like, you could steal a game or two. These professional athletes. I'm just looking at I love this villain origin story for Tyrese Halliburton, all the hate and the jealousy that he's gotten, and he just rose right off through that, rose above it, and now is headed to his first NBA Finals. He has great potential to be a future face of the league. Of course, we go over to OKC and you have Shai Gilgeous, and he has been named the MVP for this season.
And he's very Mamba-like in his game. If you see parts of his game, is very Kobe-like.
Another one underrated because he got, they trade him in the kitchen sink in order to get Paul George.
And Paul George ain't done nothing but Shai about to do something.
And he's doing something. He's done something big. He's now in the finals. So I like his little, hero origin story as well.
Well, we'll look at that play out over the weekend. But guess what? We got a long weekend starting. So let's do date night, man. What you saying?
Yeah, what are we doing?
I'm gonna surprise you, but let's go.
Let's go. Okay, I got my little Jordans on. I'm ready to go.
I'm feeling like
no heels today.
Some fried fish and some peas and rice and some coleslaw.
So what? Fish fry?
No way.
What?
We got a couple places. We might have to check the Green Pirate, maybe Margaritaville, maybe Naughty Johnny's, maybe Spritz.
Maybe Spritz, maybe.
Mike and the crew.
Got a lot of good, that's one show on just the food around here.
We can talk it, not today though.
Okay.
Everybody have a great, safe weekend, man. From our home to yours, have a great weekend. Be safe and enjoy it to the fullest, man. And for everybody in the Labor Parade, we appreciate your efforts, man, all right? And
be safe out there,
that it was politicized the way it was, but enjoy your day the way you do for the efforts you put forward to make this country run.
For the workers.
And you all have a great, safe weekend. We up out of here. Deuces!
Skylark, none for them a whale, none for them a shark, none for them done and do and go back, but I am moving like a nuclear.
And of course, first things first, taking you home, man. Tom Thibodeau fired for all you sports fans. That's been a hot conversation today. Were the Knicks right by firing Tom Thibodeau? I don't think so, but, some people say that might have been time for a move. All right, that's going to take you home, and have a great weekend. We'll see you Tuesday.
Shots and ting, Vermont turn like old time dead spring.
Going through tires faster than a hot 92 One wheel going left, one wheel going right, while the car trying to go down the road straight. Chief, you need to go into Muffler World and get your wheels aligned. Muffler World will set you on the straight and now in no time with computerized wheel alignment. And since the car is up already on the rack, take them one-tread tires off and get some new ones. Muffler World on Mackey Street got that computerized wheel alignment and brand new tires.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again from the island that gives you mince mutton, okra soup, and of course flour cake and rake and scrape. It's the 26th annual Cat Island Rake and Scrape Festival in beautiful Artistown, Cat Island. June 6th through 8th, we have acts such as Veronica Bishop,
He come here with the hands swinging.
Chino D, Stelito, Cupid, and of course our very own down-home guys like Lassido and the Boys, I don't like no rigging and scraping in here, Ophi and the websites, and much of Artistown, Cat Island. June 6th through 8th. See you there.
Fancy this, one-of-a-kind Pesto Club sandwiches from Burger King Nassau like you've never tasted before. Choose from a juicy chicken breast or 100% flame-grilled beef patty topped with irresistible fresh pesto spread, cheese, crisp bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Or start your mornings right with the Pesto Chicken Crisp Sandwich for breakfast. It's a delicious chicken patty topped with cheese, tomato, fresh pesto spread on a classic buttery BK croissant. The Pesto Club sandwiches are new, fresh, and only at Burger King Nassau.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Yeah, man, some man are going along the youth and you got a little blind alive. Right now, I want to reach your way. Well, I'm original youth and one of them have a big in a life, man. Big up on the chest, man. Bunch of banter on them case again. You reckon some road boy? What you know coming around with things this year?
This is your first and last
I am moving like a nuclear. If you want to test me, only find a new gear. But you moving like a nuclear.
Within two games of the NBA Finals, something they haven't done since the 1970s. That's win an NBA championship. Shady, Tom Thibodeau, after being within 2 games of a championship, did he get a raw deal with it?
Raw deal. That's bad, right? And you know what I hate the most is that you didn't see none of the presidents or GMs come out and really talk about it. It's like you fire a coach like this that's done well in the last 5 years, been to playoffs 4 times straight, and then it was 2 games away from the finals, and you don't talk about it? Because at least show me a face that's firing him. Right? What's my man from the Mavericks? What's my man's name?
Cuban?
No.
Oh, Nico.
Nico Harrison. He came out there and he spoke about having some of those to even talk about, having the guts to speak on Trey and Luka. We ain't see the same for the Knicks.
Yeah.
I mean, Tibbs, you want to talk about them like, yo, they won in the last 20 seasons, they've won 1 playoff series. Right? And now he gets you, his tenure there, in the 5 years, he gets you straight 4 playoff appearances and 2 games away from the finals, and you fire him for what? Yeah. Who are you gonna get now, though? You get what I'm saying? I hate when teams do this because now, like, the standard is set now with this coach. Yeah. Now, a new coach now has new standards. I wonder what they might be. At least for Tibbs, I will say this, Monty. You make a trade, right, and you make some trades and you make some moves in all season, and you get guys like Anthony Towns, you get guys like OG came there, you get guys like Bridges coming there, you get all these different things. Let that thing gel. It obviously is working. Yeah. That was crazy. They just did. I couldn't believe it. When I seen, I thought it was fake news. Yeah. You know, to the viewers out there, James Jones has a lot of fake news. And when I said, is this James pranking me?
I don't tweet no fake news.
I was so upset when they fired him because he didn't deserve this. He did not deserve this.
You trying to get people to follow me? I don't got no fake news, dog. I hated it, man. And I hated it for a couple different reasons. My first reason is I hate when players don't do their job and the coach get blamed. And I hate it the other way around, when coaches don't do their job and the players get blamed. Right. But I just remember when Mike McCarthy was taking a whole lot of heat. Everybody like, the play call is bad. It's the same play call we won a Super Bowl with and got him a street named after him, which, you know what? The players just ain't making the plays. James Jones was winning on that slant. You know what? Darrelle Revis locked me down on that last one. It ain't the plays, it's the players. Tibbs, since he's been there, has been a winning coach. So now you're saying, we're firing you and we going to get a coach that's going to get us 2 games better. Because that's really what you're saying. We need to get 2 games better to get to the finals. Because Tibbs has took you somewhere you have not been in 20, and that is the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks ain't seen that in 25 plus years. And Tibbs took you there. Back-to-back 50-win seasons. And now everybody wants to say, man, he's playing these dudes too much minutes. He was playing these dudes too much minutes when they was winning games. And now it's a problem now. No, but when he was playing them too much minutes, they was making those plays. Now they're not making the plays, and the coach got fired because I feel like the players did not play their best in the series. Man. Not Tibbs. And now you're going out there, I don't know what coach you get, but you're going out there to say, hey, Emmanuel Acho, we want you to be the next coach of the New York Knicks, and we got to get 2 games better. Because we got to get to the finals. There ain't nowhere the new coach coming in, where does he got to take you? To the finals. Because Tibbs took you to the Eastern Conference Finals.
From the outside in, I'm not just upset, I'm disappointed. But I'm disappointed because from the outside in, this was the most exciting the Knicks had been to the non-local Knicks fans since Linsanity. Y'all remember Jeremy Lin, 2012?
Oh, man.
This is the most exciting the Knicks have been since that run. But furthermore, I think about the quote I heard, the guy who had it good and wanted it better made it worse. That's the Knicks. Y'all got it good. Y'all want it better. Y'all are about to make it worse because Tibbs is the best coach since Jeff Van Gundy circa 96 to 2002. No other coach has even had this many playoff appearances, let alone this many playoff and postseason wins as Tibbs. But also remember, before the season, nobody thought that the Knicks were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. During the season, nobody thought the Knicks were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. At the beginning of the playoffs, nobody thought the Knicks were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. At the beginning of the Boston Celtics series, after the Knicks had already beat the Pistons, nobody thought the Knicks were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And because the Knicks overachieved, you're now going to judge them based upon a bar that they raised and didn't end up exceeding? It just doesn't make sense to me. The guy who had it good and better made it worse. I would judge Tibbs 2-5 if he didn't try to manipulate all the cards that were in his hand. But by game 3, he moved Josh Hart, probably the third best player on that team, to the bench. Started Mitchell Robinson. As soon as he found out his bench players had some level of competency in the playoffs, by game 4 and game 5, after Brunson got in foul trouble in game 3, he continued to go to the bench. It wasn't like Tibbs was a stubborn head coach. Like, he tried to manipulate his hand, which is the mark of intelligence and the mark of good coaching, is not doing the same thing over and over again. So I can't make sense.
You got to read the room, man. Seriously. And we've been hearing a lot of negativity from the Knicks front office for a long time, right? Even with small things of, like, you know, a lot of their players that was greats and was playing the Eastern Conference Finals games, they're not allowed to be in the building, or they escort them out, or they can't get to certain, you know, like, so we had these type of issues before. Now I look at this like, okay, think about the New York community.
Yeah.
Did you see how the fans were going? When they went to the East Conference Finals, you see how crazy it was in New York? Yeah. Right? Madison Square Garden, I mean, the whole thing is lit up. Right? I haven't seen that many superstars in a long time. What about when they was going to play the Pacers and everybody knew about it? Right. Did you see the street? How many fans is out there? And they were so excited. My mom and dad's from Queens, New York, okay? So they're New Yorkers. They had so much joy this playoffs. I mean, God, you'd have thought it was my mom just had a kid and everybody's super happy in the family, and it was like that enjoyment. Now you take that away from them? So they get this far with this coach, with this team, right? And now you say you don't want good enough. 2 games from the finals, what the fans gonna say now? Because this thing is all about the players, the franchise, and the fans, right? It goes hand in hand. How do you think the fans feel? Your superstar, Jalen Brunson, say, yo, he's the man for the job. And then a couple days later, you fire him? It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. And I don't know where the NBA had this year as well as the Knicks played. I don't know where this goes from them. Because next year, I don't see them going to the finals. I don't see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see it.
And we didn't see it this year neither.
It's crazy.
But it's just crazy because even the series before, we just wanted to praise Tibbs, right? You on the road, you're down 20-plus points against, we thought, the best team in basketball in the Boston Celtics, and you come back and you win both those games on the road. And, yeah, you can say Coach Tibbs, Coach is tough, but what happened in those 2 games?
Right.
The stars showed up.
Right.
And they finished the basketball games. This Indiana Pacers series, the stars didn't really show up to finish basketball games, and that is why Tibbs is fired. It's not because of the substitutions that Tibbs did or the timeout that Tibbs didn't call, or we could point at something and say, hey, he blew that series for the Knicks. There's nothing we can point at to that besides the players not being their best in certain moments.
Interesting to me. If the Knicks would have lost to the Celtics, does Tibbs still get fired?
No.
Because think about it.
Because you expected them to lose that series.
Like, if the Knicks lose a series earlier, but lose to a team that's supposed to be a dynasty, that's on the brink of repeating, that has one of the best tandems in all of basketball, I don't think Tibbs gets fired because, like James said,
proud you got here.
Exactly. Now you look at it as over.